Vegas, what up, yo? I'm about to talk about some football and whatnot. Making hoodies, living the life. I will say, it seems like every time I make a new hoodie, I end up liking that one more than the rest of them. And I fucking like this gray and black and yellow. Told y'all, I needed something to match this fucking hat. P gave me this hat so long ago, man, I ain't never had anything that ever actually matched this color combination. Shout out to my homegirl, Lucky. I almost got lucky with this hat. Yeah. Anyway, it is 9 o'clock. You know what that means. Play the theme song and light a goddamn blunt.
333 R.I.P.P. Don P. Ph.D. Yeah. I said R.I.P. TV. Tell the homie. Mob Deep Mondays, that's everyday, thoughty. It's all for the community. That's what P showed me. We lost without the unity. Where the fuck is the OGs? R.I.P.P. God bless the real. Only for the righteous. The rest will go to hell. Flipping through the book of Revelation. Figure it out. Transliterate the translation. Do it yourself. It's the last days. Life is a test and we in a cage. Concrete jungle. Everyday struggle. Fuck the pain. I'm on some HNIC shit. A Gellion 3 shit. If you don't know what I mean, you was never G. Real shit. R.I.P. Yo, P, play that beat back, 333. Burn some weed, repeat that. Shake me up a tuka pack, break me off a 20 piece. I'm gone, never looking back. Y'all can't talk to me. R.I.P. TV, tell the homie. Mob Deep Mondays, that's everyday, thoughty. It's all for the community. That's what P showed me. We lost without the unity. Where the fuck is the OGs? Like the weed, play some IMD for me. It's hell on earth for real, but y'all don't wanna see paper trail politics. All the shit was prophecy, strictly for the family. Peace to the prodigy. R.I.P.P. I sleep when it's time for me. Dope dreams, bring the skizzy, pour the Hennessy. Searching for some inner peace, couple hundred G's. Deadly weapons and some weed just for you and me. R.I.P.P. I sleep when it's time for me. Dope dreams, bring the skizzy, pour the Hennessy. Searching for some inner peace, couple hundred G's. Deadly weapons and some weed just for you and me. Yo.
Yeah. Vegas, it looks like it's just me and you in here right now. I'm sure Carrie will pop by eventually. He usually shows up around 9:15. So, smoking the Bengals for this one, G? I don't know, man. The Bengals got Joey Boy Band. And that guy looks like all he does is win. Literally, like, he only knows how to do one thing. That's win football games. I've seen one of those guys before. I watched him for 20 years firsthand. His name was Tom Brady. That guy never liked to lose at all. So, I don't know, man. Oh, Roger Harper's doing good. That's my motherfucking homie. Oh, Nice is doing good. Shit, I ain't heard from Nice in about 2-3 months. You never know. I follow everybody on IG. It's about the only updates I ever get from anyone. Yeah, I mean, we knew he was going to retire. Like, this was a given. Now, what's funny about him retiring is the other players who are also retiring this year who might be eligible for the Hall of Fame the same year that he's eligible for the Hall of Fame, i.e. Ben Roethlisberger, Gronk, anybody else who retires this year. Adam Vinatieri, I believe, he retired. Nah, he's 1 year ahead of him. So, Imagine you make it to the Hall of Fame, but at the same time, the GOAT is making it, so everybody's there to see him and listen to his speech and whatnot. It's going to be nuts. But I will predict this right now. That Hall of Fame ceremony will absolutely be filled with Steelers fans because nobody travels better than the Steelers fans. And Canton, Ohio is only a couple hours from Pittsburgh Drive. So they are going to fill that place. Who's going to be the next legend? We've seen it already. His name is Joey Boy Band. That guy is special. He's got the one thing that everybody is looking for. Now, Justin Herbert has everything else that they're looking for. But Joey Boy Band's got the it factor. Now, Vegas, this does affect you and your local team. The Raiders have hired Josh McDaniels from the Patriots to be their head coach. Will Josh McDaniels be successful at his second stint as a head coach? Probably. I mean, on his last team, he had fucking Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow as his quarterbacks. And then, who's that tall guy that sucked? Brock Osweiler. At least when he's going into the Raiders, he's got Derek Carr and a playoff team, When he went to the Broncos, they weren't any good. He was brought there to fix them, He's not really being brought in to fix the Raiders. He's being brought in to take them to the next level, which he'll probably do. He was 33 when he got his first coaching gig. He's got to be in his 40s now. 33 to be a head coach, like 12 years ago or whatnot. It might have been a bit early for him to get a gig. Now, with Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur, Brian Flores, Cliff Kingsbury, there's a lot of young coaches getting hired these days because the game in the world has evolved. You can't have these 70-year-old coaches out here anymore. The game of football is so different. These guys are getting ran around like... The only one who can handle himself at that advanced age is Belichick. And he doesn't count. The exception to the rule never counts. It's like Neo in the Matrix. You can't count him as a normal amongst the human populace. It's fucking Neo. So, yeah, Josh McDaniels going to the Raiders. Now, Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, got hired by the Giants. And trust me and Carrie were talking about that shit already, as Carrie is our resident Giants fan. And the fact that they're keeping Danny Dumbles and believe that they can build around this idiot is absolutely astounding to me. This guy has led the NFL in turnovers since the day he's been in it. There's not a breakdown in coaching or execution or anything of that matter. This is X's and O's related. This guy is a turnover machine. He has fumble issues. I don't know if his hands are very strong. I don't know if he's got small hands. I don't know what the fuck it is. This guy fumbles more than anybody else in the NFL. A.K.A. Danny Dumbles. So the fact that they're keeping him, hilarious. I love it. Every second of it because I fucking hate the Giants. And I like to laugh at Carrie about shit like this. So I'm all for it. But knowing that I got friends that are Giants fans, this shit sucks for them. I know that much. It's so stupid. That also goes to show you the lack of NFL talent that is in the NFL draft at quarterback position this year. There's not a single college quarterback that everybody's just like, yeah, that's the guy. He's going to be the guy. We saw Joe Burrow already do this. Exactly what he's doing now, he did it in college. So you're like, hey, that guy, he's a guy. He wins. So, we shall see. Yeah, you know what's hilarious about this show is we used to start this at 8. And then I pushed it back to 9 so we could accommodate everybody in their current time issues. And then ever since I pushed it back to 9, we've lost Nice, we lost Roger Harper, and Kerry is constantly late. What Gray Matter is limping across the finish line at the end of the season. Jesus. I don't know what to do, man. Everybody else is busy. I guess I'm lame and I'm not busy. I can sit here and smoke blunts and talk about football. I hate doing this by myself. So, you know what I always do whenever this happens? There's only one way to make sure Kerry pops in. Play some music.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Well, the hilarious part about that is I actually watched Gladiator this morning when I woke up. Because it takes me a couple hours to, like, actually get acquiescence to the world. I watched Gladiator this morning. Funny that I played that beat. I did not do that, like, intentionally. What else we got this new? Beef, what up? Idiotism, what up, yo, what up? Just playing some beats, smoking some blunts, waiting for Carrie to pop up. I need to get a hold of the weekend. I want to send him that beat. I'm not really one of those people that's like, yo, listen to my beats at all. Ask any rapper. I don't play my shits for nobody. This past year of me playing beats that I actually made and have been working on for the listening public was a very far departure from the norm. Thank you, Idiotism. Hot off the presses. I just made this one yesterday. So, yeah, I need to get a hold of the weekend somehow. Actually, I think I might know somebody who might know somebody. Now that I'm thinking about it. I'm about to roll a blunt and text them. Gotti, what up, yo? Yeah, 80 and is a man. Flores. I just saw that headline. I hate doing the football show by myself, but I will if I have to, because there were only 2 games to talk about. So, I mean, I'll bust it out solo if I have to, but I don't really want to. I can already tell Gray Matter in the off season is going to fucking struggle. Because we struggled down the stretch, man. We struggled to keep it together down the stretch as a team. I wonder if Nice got a new email since he got a new IG and everything. I wonder if that's why I ain't heard from him in like 3 fucking months. I mean, the Jets have been terrible since week 1. So, you can't blame it on that. Alright. Play another beat or 2 before I just fucking say fuck this shit. Well, it is 9:30 and time waits for no man. I am tired of waiting for people so I can do the things that I want to do. It's 2022. I should not be doing this shit anymore. So, fuck it. I'm going solo from here on out. I don't give a fuck. I like to talk about football. I'm going to talk about football. Shit's fucking nuts. So anyway, lots of shit going on in the NFL this week. You would consider that championship Sunday would have been the biggest story. But it is not. You would consider two teams going to the Super Bowl, one for the first time in 31 years, the other for the first time in 3 years. The biggest story. But alas, not even close. Tom Brady retired. What in the actual fuck? Yeah, we knew that shit was going to happen. Was anybody who listened to us talk about football surprised? No. What the fuck else do you got to prove? We said it. I said it many times. He could win 7 more Super Bowls and it still wouldn't even add on to his legacy anymore than he already has. Like, there's nothing else you can do. Now, buy an NFL team and win a Super Bowl that way, homie. That's about the only way you can build onto your legacy. And the rumor mill is currently putting together some feelers on becoming an NFL owner. Now, the Broncos are up for sale right now, and I bet you their valuation will be somewhere between $3 and $5 million or $1 billion. Does Tom Brady have $5 billion to buy an NFL team? No. So he will be a minority owner. But they would definitely, whichever team it is, would definitely have him as the face of the organization, no matter if he only owns 1% of the team. Now, 1% of the team, still $20 million if the team's $1 billion. Something like that. So, shout out to the GOAT. Anybody who knows me knows I've been the biggest Tom Brady cheerleader outside of his own immediate friends and family. Since 2004, I've been saying that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback that I have ever seen play. And I know everybody thought I was absolutely fucking insane for saying that. But I saw something 18 years ago, and I was right. Now, there's a new guy in the league. Looking like he's got an awful lot of Brady in him. Is Joe Burrow going to go and win 7 Super Bowls and break every single NFL record that exists? No. It's impossible. You got to look what Tom Brady just did. At 44 years old, he led the league in passing with over 5,000 yards. It was the 5th most passing yards in NFL history and over 40 touchdowns. So that means for somebody to touch his records, they're going to have to be putting up between 4,000 and 5,000 yards for 20 straight seasons. It's so unlikely to happen. It's so unlikely. And then if you look at Tom Brady's playoff numbers and add those into the totals, he's played so many fucking playoff games. It's retarded. So if you look at just his playoff yardage, he has more yards in just the playoffs than there are some Hall of Fame quarterbacks have in their whole career. That's so... It's statistically impossible to beat. It's so unlikely for another quarterback, even someone who, let's say Patrick Mahomes, who came out the gate throwing for 4,000 yards a season. How likely is it that he's going to last for 20 full NFL seasons at the top of his game? You know, Tom Brady only missed 1 season and 4 games in his entire career. 1 season because on week 1, goddamn motherfucking Bernard fucking Pollard came in low, hit him in the knee, and blew his knee out. We ended up with Matt Castle for the quarterback for the season. Fucking sucked. I happened to go watch 2 Patriots games that year, the year that Tom Brady doesn't play. So stupid. And then the 4 games that he got suspended by Roger Goodell for Deflategate, hilarious because he went undefeated after that and won a Super Bowl. And made Roger Goodell hand him a trophy and shake his hand after suspending him for 4 games over something stupid. 333 is a sign from the heavens, homie. It's divine guidance. It is basically everything that we are all about is 333. So, I just actually idiotism. I just rewatched that Super Bowl on the day that the day that I knew he was retired, because the second half of that game is so improbable and unlikely that there's literally only one player in history who could have pulled that shit off. It looks like Joey Boyband, he might be able to do some of the same shit. So, shout out to Tom. Your career will be unmatched in any professional sport. There will be players that win more championships in other sports. Bill Russell won 11 championships, including 8 straight at one point. But this is the NFL. Winning Super Bowl is a little bit harder than any other sport, it seems like. It's so dependent on so many other things besides yourself. So, shout out to Tom. There's nothing left to prove. Go buy a team. Go win more chips that way. The guy's going to end up with 10 Super Bowls. Yeah, by far and away the greatest. It's funny when there are people that be like, oh, no, Tom's not the greatest. It'd be like, by what metric? By what measurable statistic and metric in pro football in America can you not, what metric are you weighing here? Super Bowl wins, he's got 7. Next closest is 4. Any statistic that matters, he is literally on top of yards, touchdown, completions, playoff touchdowns, playoff yards, playoff completions, and playoff attempts. What are we talking about here? He's got 5 Super Bowl MVPs. He's got more Super Bowl MVPs than Joe Montana has Super Bowl titles, and Terry Bradshaw. It's just retarded. It's so... For people who don't know the NFL, what we just witnessed will never happen again. It was never supposed to happen. The NFL was literally made for parity and for teams to be able to compete. Each season is a new season. It's rare that you see a team suck for a really long time because that's just not how the NFL is built. If they do, it's ownership. Then that means the owners don't know what the fuck they're doing. So, what else is going on? Let's see. Broncos are officially up for sale. Peyton Manning looks to be heading the investment group on buying them. Hilarious that Peyton Manning spent 14 years in Indianapolis, and every picture you see of him is in a Broncos uniform now. He lives in Denver. He's all about Denver. It's like those 14 years in Indianapolis did not happen at all. Interesting. All right, so what else is going on? Well, I'm just seeing this. Brian Flores is now... Well, that's about the only one Super Bowl win percentage, but when you've been to 10 of them, I think I would take 7 wins with a couple losses over 4 wins and no losses. Does he have a death row chain? Tom Brady, listen, man. Tom Brady can have whatever chain he wants. He can make a chain out of his rings. That's how many of them he's got. So, Brian Flores is apparently suing the NFL now. He's claiming that the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, offered him $100,000 for every loss in 2019 to help with their draft position. which means they tanked for real. He was paying them to fucking blow games. And that the New York Giants conducted a sham in-person interview with him only to comply with the Rooney Rule after they had already pretty much decided on hiring the Bills' Brian Daboll. So, for those of you who don't know, the NFL has minority hiring protocols at play. It's called the Rooney Rule. So, for every head coaching position that opens up, you are required to interview a minority candidate, or it might be, I forget what the number is, but it's at least one. Like, you are required to interview a minority candidate. So I understand the reasoning behind it. But if a billionaire owner knows who he wants to hire as his coach to run his team, why are you forcing them to go through the interview process knowing that it's bullshit? And Brian Flores called him out on it because this has been going on for years. Like, this is so stupid. And he's just like, they only brought me in so they could fill their diversity quotas. This is some fucking bullshit. And he is not wrong at all. Brian Flores is a very fiery dude, very passionate coach, so I don't know. I don't know what else are. Let me buzz through the article real quick and see what else he's actually complaining about. Yeah, no, that's wild. Especially if the Dolphins ownership offered him $100,000 per loss, like, well, Adianism, for some reason, nobody wants to hire Eric Bieniemy as a head coach, which leads me to believe that he is a bad interview. Like, when he goes in for these interviews, it doesn't go very well. And that's weird because that doesn't mean that he's not going to be a good head football coach, that you're going to hinge your decision on whether or not you're going to hire or pass on a coach because he might not have the best interview skills. So it's like asking a fish to climb a tree and then judging on his ability to climb a tree. It's a fucking fish. Possibly, I don't know. But for some reason, Eric Bieniemy continually gets passed up when it comes to head coaching hires. Now, they constantly have him in for interviews. Are they using Eric Bieniemy as their diversity Rooney Rule quota? Or they just use it to meet their quota? I don't fucking know. I'm not in these meetings and I never will be. So in 2019, Stephen Ross was mad at Brian Flores because the Miami Dolphins were winning games at the end of the year. Oh, wow. This is what really happened. So, apparently Stephen Ross invited Brian Flores onto his yacht and wanted him to recruit an established prominent quarterback at the end of the 2019 season, which the coach can't do. That's tampering. There's rules against this. You're not allowed to, invite the free agent quarterback onto your yacht to try to entice them to be on your team. This isn't the Wolf of Wall Street. And then when Flores got to the yacht, the quarterback was arriving for the impromptu meeting, and Flores said, fuck this shit, and left. And then ever since then, him and Stephen Ross have just banged heads. Huh. That is hilarious. You know, what goes on behind closed doors always comes to the light, and sometimes it is hysterical. Interesting. Interesting. So, well, if Brian Flores wanted a head coaching gig, this was not the way to go about it. This is definitely not the way to go about it. These owners, this is such a small group of very unique individuals. They're all multi-billionaires. There's 32 of them. They own NFL teams. It's such a small fraternity of old white men. They're not going to put up with this shit. So, I don't know what his goal was here. I know he wants to be a head coach. He just got fired from the Dolphins as a head coach, where he actually had a winning record for a terrible team. So, that lets you know that Stephen Ross did not like Brian Flores at all. But there's no NFL team that's going to be like, yeah, we'll hire you, dude, knowing that if something doesn't go wrong and they fire you, that you might fucking sue them. And then he's going to be able to claim that it's racism and shit like that. Now, there are going to be some owners in the league where there will be racism involved. These are like 80-year-old billionaires. What do you expect from them? What do you expect? Look at the environment that they came up in. Like, what do you fucking expect? That's the crazy thing. You got to stop expecting these things from other human beings that are unlikely. It's 80-year-old billionaires. Like, what the fuck do you expect them to act like? What do you expect them to say? If they say some old backhanded racist shit, what do you think? Are you surprised? I'm not saying that I condone it or that I applaud it by any means of the stretch of the imagination whatsoever. But I'm not surprised at all. At all. Like, are you? Seriously? These guys only hang out with other billionaires. Like, what are we talking about here? No one ever tells them no. So, you got a coach that's going to be like, yo, I'm suing the entire league, not just a team. He's suing the NFL. Not going to go good for you, homie. There were 60 million people. 60 million that counted that watched the Chiefs and Bengals game. 60 million. The NFL is killing it right now with viewership and ad revenue and they're making so much money right now. And you want to sue the whole league? 60 million for a playoff game. It wasn't even the Super Bowl. Beef, he has an incredible case to sue, but you have to understand, when you're trying to sue somebody, Brian Flores can afford a lawyer. The NFL can afford an army of lawyers. And if they want to, they'll pull the legal tactic of just dragging the motherfucking case out as long as possible. They might drag this shit out for years. What that will effectively do, and they'll threaten to do this, and they're smart. The lawyers will definitely do this. They'll threaten to drag this shit out for years through appeals, delay, all this stupid fucking legal shit. And what's that going to do? A, he's going to go broke in the process. That's usually their game plan. We'll just out-litigate you until you don't have the funds to litigate anymore. But B, he's lucky he's very young. Because say they drag this out for years, 5 years, until they come up with a decision. You think anyone's going to hire him during those 5 years while he's currently suing the league? The NFL, their lawyers are smart enough that if it's not already in the collective bargaining agreement and in the bylaws of the league, that they'll write it into there somehow, and it's got to be a conflict of interest. You can't actively be a head coach while you're suing the organization it's hilarious. He's suing an organization that he's seeking a job from. I like Brian Flores too. I think he's an excellent coach. He's proven it by being a winner on a terrible team with absolutely no quarterback play ever. It's just not the way to do it, man. That's like that'd be like me trying to, do a Jay-Z album, and they want to hear a mix that I did, and I play it for them, and before they even decide, I just go to Hot 97 and just start tearing Rockefeller apart. Because they, not only am I not going to get that gig, I'm not going to get any other gig. It's just so stupid. Yeah, Modern. This is exactly why they took that show. There was ESPN had an NFL drama that they did that was awesome. That shit was so good. They only did one season of it. And the rumor, and I can't call it a rumor, I will call it the truth to why that show doesn't exist anymore, is the NFL contacted ESPN and told them they had to shut that shit down or they're not getting the rights to the NFL footage. Because the NFL players were saying that it was too realistic. Oh, see, now I'm going to have to look it up. Football drama on ESPN that got canceled. It's called Playmakers. So, yeah, dude, it was nuts. So you had players beating there was domestic violence, drug use, cheating, backdoor fucking decisions, and there was a gay wide receiver on a team, and he was the only one who made the All-Pro. And, this was 2003. Now, nobody gives a fuck. There's multiple gay players in the NFL. But in 2003, the way they depicted it is his teammates hated him. They used to fuck him up in practice. Coaches used to put him in the worst situations ever, try to get him to quit, basically. And he didn't. He was the only Pro Bowler on his whole team. And, after that episode, it was shut down. 80, Modern, you're 100% right. It was too realistic. This is too real. You can't do this. It literally says on IMDb it was canceled because the NFL found the series to be too realistic. Shit was dope, though, man. It was dope because it was oh my God, this is what a locker room is like. And if anybody has ever played football and been a part of a locker room and a team and the politics involved and things like that, then you understand. And at every level that you climb up, it becomes more prevalent. College, the bullshit that happens because there's scholarships involved. So you might be better than somebody, but if that player is highly recruited and was brought here for a reason, you might not get to play. And that's the story of Tom Brady also. So his junior year, he started and played well, won 11 of the last 12 games. And then his senior year, Michigan had a very highly touted recruit coming in named Drew Henson. Fucking Tom Brady had to split time with this guy. The incumbent senior, who was a winning quarterback and had, actually, I believe it was the Orange Bowl that he won the year before. Maybe not. That might have been the senior year that he did it. But they wanted to start Drew Henson because, he grew up in Michigan. It was a big fucking deal. So him and Tom Brady split time. So multiple times during that season, Drew Henson would start. Michigan would suck, be down double-digit points. They'd pull Henson, put Tom Brady in, he'd bring him back, and they'd win. And that's what Belichick talked about. He said the one thing that he noticed on film, it wasn't anything physical. It's just that every time that they put him in and they were losing, he always brought him back. So the Patriots were literally the only team that were looking at Tom coming out of the draft. They wanted to take him in the 5th round, I believe. But somebody else came up that they didn't think was going to be in that spot, so they ended up taking that guy instead. So they ended up grabbing Tom in the 6th. But, all right, so Jimmy Garoppolo done in San Francisco. We all knew that was going to happen. He played terrible. I said it before this playoff game even happened. There was no way the Niners were going to win this game because at some point in time, Jimmy G was going to Jimmy G. And this is what he does. On the biggest stage, he kind of folds. Now, this is the one glaring difference between him and Tom Brady when both of them were in New England and Jimmy G was actually drafted in order to replace Tom. There's only one Tom. Jimmy G is going to Jimmy G at some point, and he does. He throws a very costly pick. And when I say costly, they come at very inopportune times. So what I might mean by that, because all interceptions are inopportune. But say your defense was just on the field and gave up a touchdown on a 14-play, 7.5-minute drive. And then your offense comes out and you fucking throw a pick on like the 3rd play of this drive, and your defense has to go right back out on a short field. That is a very inopportune interception because that's almost guaranteed it's going to turn into 7 points. Your defense is gassed and you gave them a short field. Like, what are you doing? You know, a random pick on a misread in the first quarter of week 3, that's whatever. Shit happens. The defense has paid millions of dollars to do their jobs too. But those soul-crushing, back-breaking picks at the worst possible times, that's what Jimmy G does. So, when I say Jimmy G is going to Jimmy G, that's exactly what I mean. I do find it hilarious that on ESPN this morning, I think it was First Take, the world has gone mad. Their name for Jimmy G is Porn Star Jimmy. I was like, wait a minute, did they just say that on ESPN? And they repeated it over and over again. That Matthew Stafford could not possibly have lost to Porn Star Jimmy. Now, I get why they say that. If you look at this guy without a helmet on, he should be modeling. He should not be playing football. He shouldn't be playing quarterback in real life. He should be playing quarterback in movies about football. But they fucking called him Porn Star Jimmy on fucking ESPN today. Multiple times. And I'm just like, yo, there's just like no rules to the world anymore. Fucking Porn Star Jimmy. This is ESPN. This is what the Pat McAfee show has done to people. The guy says whatever the fuck he wants. He's the Howard Stern of football. And now everybody's just like, shit, he's blowing up. We gotta do what he's doing. Hilarious. Porn Star Jimmy. So stupid. Anyway, this guy is not going to be the quarterback in San Francisco, which is, we talked about this last week. It would have been hilarious for Tom to play one more year and go to San Francisco and win a chip because he grew up in San Francisco. But now, the question for the Niners is, do you go with Trey Lance, who you traded up to the draft last season and to be Jimmy G's replacement? You think he's ready? Or since Aaron Rodgers might not be going back to Green Bay, and he also grew up in California and a San Francisco fan, Maybe go try to get Aaron Rodgers for like 2 years before he retires. And just let Trey sit there. If I'm the 49ers, I'm doing that shit. They just lost in the NFC Championship because they had a subpar quarterback. You're going to trust a second-year quarterback who didn't even play D1 football? And, as a matter of fact, at North Dakota State, where he played, I think that's where he played, he actually only played 8 games in a shortened season. So, that's very, very, very little football experience. Which is what's so wild about the NFL and professional sports in America, at least, that I know of. Like the NBA and the NFL. If you have the one thing that nobody can teach you, which is size and athleticism, even if you don't know how to play the fucking game at all, they will give you a shot. So Jimmy G out in San Francisco. Let's talk about these 2 games while I smoke this blunt. All right, so Bengals and Chiefs. The question that everybody wants to pose is, did the Bengals win that game or did the Chiefs lose it? I think it was actually both. Now, something absolutely incredible happened in the second half. And I think it's more glaring than even Joe Burrow and the Bengals' offensive performance in the second half is the Chiefs' lack of offense in the second half. All right, so Patrick Mahomes in the first half, his passer rating was 149.9. Now, perfect is 153.6, I think, or 156.3, something like that. He was at 149.9 in the first half. Nearly perfect. It was 0 in the second half. 0. Zero. He put up a goose egg in the second half on passer rating. That is absolutely incredible that Cincinnati's defense was able to do something like that. It's not like they really came out and did something crazy. So if you watch the game, the biggest mistake that I thought was when the Chiefs were driving at the end of the first half, Andy Reid challenged a play that he did not need to challenge, ended up losing a timeout. So, on that very last drive of the first half, they had no more timeouts, and they get down to the, I think it was a 9-yard line with like 11 seconds. So they run a play, nobody's open, Pat throws it into the ground. You have 3 seconds left. You should just kick the fucking field goal. But they didn't. Instead of going up 10, they stayed up 7, I think. 10, 20. No, they were down 11. Should have been 14. Down 11 in the first half. So, instead of kicking the field goal or even throwing it into the end zone, they run some wide receiver screen, which means they actually threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And shout out to Eli Apple for making an incredible tackle on Tyreek Hill on the 1-yard line, keeping him out. Patrick Mahomes went to go call a timeout that they didn't have. Clock runs out. So instead of 14 points, it's an 11-point game. Larry Bird, what up? So if everything else plays itself out in the same fashion, which it wouldn't have, it's impossible, then Kansas City would have been kicking to win the game at the end of regulation and not to force it to overtime. So, huge mistake at the end of the first half on Andy Reid's part. And Patrick Mahomes in the execution on their team. Huge fucking mistake. The second mistake was, I don't think they made any adjustments at halftime because they were balling. It was 21-3 at one point. The Bengals made all kinds of adjustments. So, you come out in the second half, Bengals win, second half, 14-3. Chiefs have to scramble to even kick a field goal to send it to overtime. Here's where mistake number 2 happens. The Chiefs, with about a minute 53 left or 56, it's a minute 50 something left, get down to the red zone. And with 1:09 left, they're on the 9-yard line. Now, there always comes this, especially the Chiefs know because they have Patrick Mahomes and he's done it, especially the week before. There comes this notion of you don't want to score too quick because it gives the other guys, but they know they got Joe Burrow over there, it gives the other guy a chance to pull a miracle and you might fucking lose. So, instead of continuing to press the gas and just go score the goddamn touchdown and then play defense and make the Bengals beat you, the Chiefs, instead of trying to win the game, tried not to lose it. So they were trying to burn clock off because they didn't want Joe Burrow to have any time left before they scored their touchdown to win this game, right? So they run a stupid run play that gets stuffed. Now it's 2nd and 11. Or 2nd and goal from the 11, I think, or whatever. You get the idea. So then they try to run a pass play. That shit doesn't work out. And they go backwards again. So on 3rd down, they're trying to run up another pass play, which they kind of have to. They probably should have just ran a draw or something. You know, just, you're going to kick a field goal at this point. Let's just make it as easy as possible. We were at the 9-yard line at one point. On 3rd down, Patrick Mahomes tries to do some stupid shit and almost fumbles the game away. He gets sacked. Now it's a 43-yard field goal instead of a 23-yard field goal. Harrison Butker, he's a stud. He makes it anyway. Go to overtime. Now, if there's any of you that thought just because the Chiefs won the coin toss that they were all automatically going to win that game, you don't understand football. And football karma is a very real thing. And if you do not make the correct moves, the football gods will make you pay, and they will make you pay immediately for it. Chiefs win the toss. They didn't deserve to be in that position anyway. They tried to lose that game, essentially, it looked like. Horrible clock management at the end of both halves. Game plans and executions were all terrible. So, you go into overtime. First play of overtime, Patrick Mahomes backs up. Should have been picked. Bengals defender just dropped it. Should have been picked on the first play of overtime. What are you doing, Patrick Mahomes? I know the Chiefs don't really have a run game, but like, what the fuck are you doing here? Second play of overtime, this motherfucker chucks it into double coverage to a guy who's only 5'10". Now, I know it's the cheetah, and this has worked before, but can we just... we're going to the Super Bowl if we win this game. What are you fucking... You've been off. The second half, you had a 0 passer rating. That'd have been like if Steph Curry in the second half of a game was 0 for 13 from the three-point line, and then you get into overtime and he just starts chucking up 40-footers. Just like, yo, my dude, you've been off all day. Just calm down. Work yourself back into the game. But he didn't. He wanted to play hero ball, and he made that decision to throw that before even properly making the read because he threw it into double coverage. This isn't Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss. It's Tyreek Hill. He's not going to win too many jump balls. He's 5'10". Shout out to Bates. Made the perfect play and actually tipped it back to his homeboy, and that is the tip drill. And yes, they do practice that. DBs, we used to practice that shit every single day in practice. It is because it's going to happen, because as a defensive back, you usually don't get a lot of clean opportunities for you to get both hands on the football. You're usually just trying to batted out of a receiver's hands. So the goal is to see if you can tip it to the safety, who figure out wherever he's at in relation to you at the moment, and kind of like tip it up in the air so they can get it, or tip it to him. Bates actually tipped it right to that dude. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. All right, so let's check out the box score. Burrow, 23 for 38 for 250, 2 TDs and a pick. Pretty solid game. It's a playoff game. You're going to throw interceptions. The defense is, Patrick Mahomes threw 2. His were just so dumb. His picks were so... He threw one right to the lineman. Like, right to the lineman. Cincinnati rushing. Joe Mixon had a pretty solid game. To be expected because the Chiefs' run defense has been terrible all season long. He only had 88 yards, but Burrow had 25 yards, and 3 of those runs were on third down and kept the chains moving on scoring drives. So even he understood the levity of the moment because he doesn't really run at all. But in that, it's the playoffs. It's time to put your face down and let's run. Run through somebody if you have to. The Chiefs rushing, I guess they had 139 yards as a team. And McKinnon was getting busy, but they just stopped using him for some reason. He only had 12 attempts. He had 65 yards, though, so it's over 5 yards a carry. They just kind of stopped using him. It was really weird. The Chiefs, Andy Reid lost that game. He's as much of responsible. He holds much of the responsibility for losing that game as Patrick Mahomes does. If you're going to blame somebody for this one. Patrick Mahomes had 275 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Crazy, his QBR was only 40. Who knows? I think in the first half it was 98.8 and 100's perfect. And his second half was so bad it dropped down to 40 for the whole game. Terrible. So shout out to Joey Boyband. Only got sacked once after a week of getting sacked 9 times by the Titans. Incredible. Receiving, T. Higgins and Chase both had 6 catches. They pretty much kept Chase bottled up, which they were going to. He had 266 yards and 3 touchdowns last time the Bengals played the Chiefs. The Chiefs were not going to allow the Bengals to beat them with Jamar Chase. It was not going to happen. Absolutely wasn't going to happen. You're going to make somebody else beat us, and they did. Samaje Perine stepped up big time. But Chase still had a touchdown because once they got down to the goal line, See, that's another mistake they made. You get down to the goal line, they have been doubling Chase the entire fucking game. They get down to the goal line, they left him one-on-one with the corner. Of course Burrow's going to throw him a fade route. He's better than everybody on your defense. It's going to work, and it did. How did the Chiefs not see things like this happening? Make them beat you with somebody else. Chase shouldn't. So dumb. Such poor execution on their part. Kelsey, another huge game, 95 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek did have 78 yards and a touchdown, but I just remember 2 years ago Tyreek would have 278 yards and 3 touchdowns pretty much week to week. It was retarded. What did surprise me is Robinson had no catches, and that Byron Pringle only had 2. So these are the guys who have been over the second half of the season in the playoffs for the Chiefs who have been stepping up when teams have been double teaming Tyreek and then physically manhandling Kelsey, because that's how you contain Kelsey, is you just try to beat him up as much as you can, because he doesn't like the contact like that. He's shifty and can move. He's not Gronk. He's not going to run through you unless he has to. The Chiefs had 2 fumbles. They recovered both of them. So, Kansas City's defense, Snead had 10 tackles. That's not good. He's a corner. That means you're getting flamed out there. Trey Hendrickson had a big game for the Bengals D-line with 1.5 sacks and a tackle for loss. A sack, especially on second or third down, it's a drive killer. It's almost guaranteed that drive is done. Snead also had an interception, so Snead actually played really well, considering he's got Chase, Higgins, and Tyler Boyd that he has to contend with. The Bengals tight end, I cannot pronounce his last name, but he did suffer a knee sprain, and he is questionable for the Super Bowl. So if you're doing fantasy on the Super Bowl for your lineup, draft the Bengals backup tight end because the starter is not going to play and the backup's going to be very cheap for your roster. And he's probably going to factor in a little bit. So shout out to the Bengals kicker. This is a rookie. He's 12 for 12 in the playoffs. Was 4 for 4 in this game. This guy's an absolute stud. It's hilarious to call kickers a stud, but he is different. This kid is different. He knows he's a stud. Let's see. Yeah. Such bad coaching decisions from Andy Reid. So it makes you wonder. So Andy Reid went to 4 straight NFC championships with the Eagles, only went to 1 Super Bowl and lost that Super Bowl to the Patriots. Now he's going to 4 straight AFC title games with the Chiefs and only won 1 Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, who is an all-time talent. I know Andy Reid's a Hall of Fame coach and he's considered one of the best ever because of his win percentage, but I implore you to look at when it counts. Look at playoff win percentage and see what his performance has been over his career. Now, I know it's unfair. You can't compare anybody to the hoodie. It's Bill Belichick. What do you like? Are you serious here? It's the hoodie. It's incomparable what that guy has done. I will give credit to the Chiefs for forcing overtime. You know, when it did count the most, they were able to drive, but they almost fucked it up. Like, literally, they deserved to lose that game. Patrick Mahomes fumbled it on the last play before the kickoff. Should have lost the game there. I mean, they were literally trying to fucking lose it. So, something weird happened during the second game, and I actually texted Carrie when it happened. So, I mean, shout out to the Bengals before we move on to the second one. Shout out to Joey Boy Band. You are the truth. His hair is always perfect, even after he takes his helmet off. It's incredible. The Bengals going to the Super Bowl for the first time in 31 years. They've never won a Super Bowl. The 49ers beat them both times in the 80s that they made it. And I remember the second one. The 49ers beat them like by 40. It wasn't even close. The first one was before I remember watching NFL football. That was Ken Anderson was their quarterback. I remember Boomer Esiason getting blown out by the Niners. But, I mean, get used to seeing the Bengals in the playoffs and winning because they got a guy. And just like the Patriots ended up with a guy, they got a guy. So, you have to look at the parallels. You have a second-year quarterback who is playing against the Rams in the Super Bowl, who are favored. The second-year quarterback is going to beat the favored Rams in the Super Bowl, and it's going to start a modern-day dynasty. Are they going to win 7 Super Bowls in 20 seasons? Probably not. But they got that guy. And as long as they got that guy and he is upright, if they can win any game they're in, there's just... Like Patrick Mahomes is more like Aaron Rodgers, just so supremely gifted at throwing the football. He may only win one title his whole career. He may never win another one. You never know. It's so hard to do it. And Justin Herbert, who I'm absolutely infatuated with as a quarterback because of his physical tools. This guy is like, it's hard to explain. He's literally like a created player in Madden. And he's like 99 in there. He's 6'6". He could run, has a cannon. He was a med student. He was going to be a doctor, a surgeon. He's super smart. Just makes every freaking week makes a throw that I'm just like, there's like two people who could make that throw. Now, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers make throws that nobody else can make. Justin Herbert makes throws that only Josh Allen can make. Just the two of them have the arm power to make those types of throws. It's just power. And there's no other way to explain it. It's like just a fastball in baseball. To where Aaron Rodgers can just work the ball all over the plate, and it's about placement. Josh Allen and Justin Herbert are just throwing gas. Just heaters. So, shout out to the Bengals. I hope they win. It's going to be hilarious when they do. And we'll see if the Bengals ownership actually starts spending money on them, or if they say, well, you guys won a Super Bowl without us spending any money on you guys. You don't need it. We shall see. The Patriots didn't become the Patriots until they started winning Super Bowls. The Indianapolis Colts were a fucking joke and a laughingstock, and nobody watched them play football. Indiana is a basketball state. Peyton Manning got there, started winning football games, and turned, the Colts into what they actually are. So, yeah, D Street. People were saying Joe looks like Joe Montana, man. He plays a lot more like Tom Brady than Joe Montana. So anyway, the Bengals will be facing the Rams. Now, most people, including myself, kind of predicted Tom Brady is going to go back-to-back. Injuries and Antonio Brown derailed the ambition of back-to-back Super Bowls for them. But after week one, and you can go back on my YouTube page and watch the week one recap, I literally said it, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Seeing Matt Stafford operate in that offense, I just had to see if it would actually work. It was just like, well, they're definitely going to the Super Bowl. On top of that, you had Odell Beckham Jr., who is having a career resurgence with you. And when he's happy, he's literally unstoppable. Nobody in NFL history has had better hands than Odell. And I will say that. He uses his hands for every single catch, no matter where it's at in his catch radius. It does not matter. He knows how to use his hands first for every single possible catch. He never uses his body. That dude is fucking amazing. He is so ridiculously talented. It's not even fair. And then after you add Odell, you add Von fucking Miller, a Super Bowl MVP. To add him up with Leonard Floyd, who's having, I think he had 11 sacks, having a good year. And then Aaron Donald, who, if you know anything about NFL football, Aaron Donald is a Mount Rushmore defender. He's like that good. Since he plays D-line, it's kind of hard to understand his impact on the game if you're kind of new to it. But he's literally a Mount Rushmore defender. We're talking about Reggie White, Deion Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald. He's the fourth one. He's that good. He's been in the NFL for 8 years. He's had 7 first-team All-Pros and 8 Pro Bowls. 2 Defensive Player of the Years, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like, he is incredible. At Vegas, you got to go. You guys got the black hole. You guys got an ill stadium. There's like a club in the end zone. You got to go to that shit. Anyway, Rams beat the Niners. Kind of knew this was going to be a lower scoring game because both of these defenses are really good. Interesting. There was a guy on FanDuel who put a $20 bet on actual game scores and got both of them right and won $527,000 off a $20 bet. Absolutely amazing. I mean, you could have guessed that both of them were going to come down to 3 points. And I actually... What did I have for the Bengals and Chiefs? I didn't have it 33-30. I think I had it 30-27. So I was off just by 1 field goal for each team. And for the Rams and Niners, I definitely had the Rams. Yeah, he put it in a 2-game parlay and bet the actual game score of both games and got it right. $527,000 off a $20 bet. Absolutely nuts. If you would have bet $1 on that one, you would have got $25,000. Like, are you serious? So anyway, San Francisco, Jimmy G did not play well. Did not play well. He had a better QBR than Matt Stafford, but who cares because he made in the plays that mattered the most. Jimmy G did not. Matt Stafford, 337 yards, 2 touchdowns. Played pretty fucking solid. 31 for 45. His whole team's loaded. His tight end, Higbee, also got hurt. And their other... Higbee got hurt, and the Rams were essentially down to 1 tight end on their entire roster during this championship game, which means they went into a lot of 4 receiver sets with Cam Akers or Sony Michel at running back, and then they often would motion those guys out. So they're not going to go into the Super Bowl with 1 tight end. They'll grab somebody off the street if Higbee isn't ready to go by the time the Super Bowl or their other backups who are out. They're not opposed to doing that. For this game, both starting safeties were out for some reason. Probably Rooney issues, who knows what, injuries, whatever. They went and picked up Eric Weddle. Eric Weddle was literally playing pickup basketball all season. He's been retired for 2 years. He led the team in tackles off the street. The Rams are doing whatever it takes to win this Super Bowl. Whatever it takes. The only problem is the team that they're playing has got this guy at quarterback. Now, I mean, I know it's weird to say this because it's just like how many different outcomes could there possibly be. There's only a few, but this game's either going to be really close because Joe Burrow just keeps games close, or the Rams are going to blow the Bengals out the fucking water. They might win by 40. Like, they literally might win this game by 40. Joe Burrow might get sacked 36 times, but the only thing is he doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck. Dude's incredible. Deebo Samuel. Well, this guy's like the best offensive football player in football right now. He literally does everything. You guys, incredible. That screen pass that he caught and broke like 5 tackles and then outran people and then dove for the corner of the end zone was a microcosm of him And all he does in one play. Catch the ball, run through tackles, run past people, make moves. The guy's absolutely amazing. Now, I know the Rams got a really good defense. And they do have Jalen Ramsey, who is the best corner in football, so he's going to shut somebody down. But the fact that George Kittle only had 2 catches for 27 yards. Like, are you serious, Jimmy G? Like, what decisions are you making out there? I don't even care if, like, your best players are covered. Just go to them. See if they're better than the other guy. The Rams did. Cooper Kupp had 11 catches for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns. Odell had 9 catches for 113 yards. The backup tight end came in and had 5 catches for 57 yards after Tyler Higbee went down. Now, the rise of Odell Beckham Jr. and with Robert Woods getting hurt, this means Van Jefferson has basically faded into the background, which he has. And Brian Skowronek, whatever his name is, dude dropped a touchdown. Like, literally butt naked in the end zone. Now, if you watch that throw, he's supposed to catch that. He's an NFL receiver. He gets paid a lot of money to catch footballs. But there was nobody on him. And he's running this way, and Matt Stafford threw it over his inside shoulder, which means he didn't have enough time, and the route he was running was too shallow for a hit. It was not possible for him to rotate around to catch it over the proper shoulder. Actually, the shoulder that Matt Stafford threw it over. So he just tried to reach back and catch it, and he dropped it. That was actually a bad throw by Matt Stafford. Everyone blamed discount Cooper Kupp for dropping that, but very reminiscent of Wes Welker dropping a wide open pass from Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, which eventually led to the Giants winning, because if Wes Welker catches that catch, Patriots just run out the clock, kick field goal, and win. He dropped it. They ended up punting. Eli gets the ball, drives fucking 90-some yards, scores, game over. So, that one missed opportunity. So, we really want to talk about missed opportunities. It's 3-3-3, everybody. Sweet Tart dropped that interception for the Niners in the fourth quarter with 9 minutes left. That guy plays defense for a reason. Because if he could catch, he'd be on offense. Now you have elite level talents like Jalen Ramsey, Stephon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore. Not Stephon, the other Diggs. Trayvon. These are defensive corners and whatnot that want to be corners. They can catch. They're athletes. They just want to play corner. You got a lot of secondary players that are playing in secondary because they can't catch for shit. And it's funny with people who can't catch because it's usually a timing and coordination thing. They're just not... They're just bad hand-eye coordination. So Sweet Tart, Matt Stafford in the fourth quarter literally threw him a punt. It was actually easier than a punt because punts are spinning as they come down. So when they spin at that rate coming down, they'll tend to drift to a side. So you have to understand that you're going to be moving on punt returns. You're not exactly static. It's also coming down, so you're going to catch it like this. Matthew Stafford literally threw the ball to him. Here you go. You could tell he don't know how to catch for shit because he jumped. I was never a fan of somebody jumping to catch a football here. Why did you jump? Just catch it here the first time. Why are you leaving your feet to catch this football when it's unnecessary? There was no one around him, and he jumped and tried to catch it here. It's like he couldn't decide if he was going to use his hands or his body to catch the football, and he didn't use any of them. That guy is never going to forget that play for the rest of his life. Now, you have to understand there were 9.5 minutes left. That's not a game sealer. They were only up 3 at that point, I think. It may have been 7. I think they were up 7. Yeah, they're up 7. No. They might have been up. No, it was 7 because it could have been 10 if they even would have kicked a field goal from there and made it a 2-score game. So they're up 7 at that point. There's 9.5 minutes left. That's not a game sealer, but it sure would have helped. It was a total panic move. He couldn't figure out what he wanted to do. It was like his body could not decide. It's like his brain couldn't decide, and his body was listening to his brain, and just, even when he tried to catch it, it wasn't like he tried to pin it on his chest and caught it like this and created a web. His hands were like this. You're never going to catch it like this. Like, and you jumped, like, it was just, if you jumped and caught it here, at most, you would have had to, like, just go up and use your hands, dude. Just watch Odell Beckham. Watch tape of that guy. All he does is use his hands. So, let's see. On defense, like I said, Eric Weddle led the team in tackles. 2 weeks off of the street. Yeah, it was totally like a Kamehameha wave, dude. Like a weak win. It's more like, he should have been more like, Piccolo shit. Or Krillin. What was Krillin's that fucking triangle shit he shot out? Nah, Krillin's was a disc. Destructo disc. Piccolo's was the triangle with the shit that went through the middle and the swirl around it. Something beam. Fuck, I can't remember. I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z in a long time, dude. I remember the Destructo disc. That's Krillin. I can't remember what fucking Piccolo's was. Tri-beam. Was it? That's not what he said. The Tri-beam was the guy with the third eye. The white dude that just got beat up all the time. Not Yamcha, the other one. Nick Bosa, 1.5 sacks, two tackles for loss. That's to be expected from him. Trey Reader had a great game. Aaron Donald only had 3 tackles. But, listen, he affected every single play of that game because you have to double or triple team that guy. So, yeah, it was TN with the tri-beam. Special beam cannon, that's it. I kept wanting to say sonic beam, but I was just combining sonic boom and the special beam cannon. Sonic boom. Yeah, it's been years, Modern. I have not watched that shit in so long. So this is like redemption for Matt Stafford. Now imagine if Sweet Tart actually uses his hands like a normal football player and catches that interception. What we're saying about Matt Stafford right now is that, oh, he just choked. What do they call him? Stat Padford. Because all he does is pad his stats. He's not really an effective quarterback. Supposedly. Now, what's interesting is the San Francisco 49ers were literally the best running team in football this year as a team. Had Derrick Henry stayed healthy, they probably would have been number 2. We all know that. Dude, they had 50 yards rushing. 50. Elijah Mitchell had 11 carries for 20 yards. And then they essentially just abandoned the run after that. I mean, Debo was getting some yards, but not really. The Rams took the ball out of the running back's hands and told Jimmy G, you're going to have to beat us. And it's not going to be with Kittle. You're going to have to fucking beat us. Now imagine if Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams go over to San Francisco. Well, that's a Super Bowl. I don't think that's actually going to happen because the Packers will franchise Davante Adams before they'll let him just go somewhere. Or they might do a sign-in trade, but they are not just going to let that dude walk. He's too valuable. You got to get something out of it. Because if Aaron Rodgers leaves and then Davante just walks and goes somewhere else and you get nothing out of it, your team is done. You are done. You can give the ball to Aaron Jones as many times as you want. Your team's going to suck. Especially with Jordan Love at quarterback. Are you kidding me? Well, it's not like the Rams did any better rushing. They had 30 carries for only 70 yards. So they ain't do shit either. Two really good defensive fronts are going at it. I mean, this game was won in the trenches. 20-17 was to be expected. Knew it was going to be low scored. I don't know what the over-under was. So, what does that give us? That gives us Bengals and Rams. Now, what sucks the most about this is 2 weeks to get to the Super Bowl. This week, I mean, we're already up to Tuesday, but this week always takes forever. Especially Sunday, because it's the first Sunday without football. And I know that the Pro Bowl's happening on Sunday, but who fucking cares? And then, the next week starts, and then you actually start the countdown. It's just this weird off week. It's like, how many storylines can you find? Well, Brian Flores is suing the NFL. That's a storyline. Crazy. What in the actual fuck is going on there? That shit is nuts. I mean, I've anticipated this. It's the Super Bowl. And you want to see what Joe Burrow is going to do. You want to see what the kid can do. Because they're not the favorites in this game. It's a 4-point spread right now. It'll probably get bigger. And it's like, is this Matt Stafford's coronation? And Sean McVay, is this like, do they get the Super Bowl to validate their careers? You got to remember, Sean McVay is only 36. He's been in the Super Bowl twice already. He is on the John Madden path. John Madden retired from coaching at 42. I think. And then went into broadcasting, and networks have already been trying to get McVay as a broadcaster. So he's got that waiting for him. So, he's going to, if he wins a couple championships, there's no reason to stay in it. Look at John Gruden did. He won a title and then became an analyst for 10 years and should have stayed an analyst. Now you're out of football, homie. So the real question is, who's going to win the Super Bowl? I had an excellent year in game picking. I have had a terrible playoffs. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Man, I picked the Rams to beat the Bucks last week. Picked the Rams. The Rams are the only team that I've gotten right in the playoffs at all, literally. '49ers weren't supposed to beat the fucking Packers last week. 2 weeks ago. It was not supposed to happen. Chiefs weren't supposed to beat the Bills. 13 seconds left, you drive down tired. Are you fucking kidding me? Bills were supposed to be in this Super Bowl. Either the Bengals are going to start something that's going to last for a really long time like the Patriots did, or the Rams are going. This is going to end up being like when the Broncos beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl by like 40. Or when the Seahawks beat the Broncos by like 40. You guys remember that Super Bowl, the very first play of the game, fucking center snapped it over Peyton Manning's head. That's the very first play of the game. It's not going to be a good game for you guys. So, I mean, it would be awesome if Joe Burrow somehow wins the Super Bowl. Like, this would be the Patriots all over again. This would be amazing. It's highly unlikely, and the spread's 4 right now. So you have to question yourself, what does Vegas know? So last week, Sunday, the spread on the Chiefs and Bengals was 3.5. All right, so that meant there was only one of 2 outcomes plausible, because the books are not going to lose money because everybody was betting on the Bengals with the spread. No, excuse me, it was 7.5. Everybody was taking the Bengals. But with that spread, your odds are the books weren't going to lose that much, right? So, take the Rams against the spread because you think they're going to blow them out. You lose that one. And they only win by 3, so nobody covers. I assumed that the Chiefs were going to win by 3, which would mean they didn't cover the spread, but they still won, which means the books would have won on both ends. The other plausible outcome was that the Bengals just went straight up. And that's when the one that ended up happening. You have to remember, the people that set the spreads on games, these are time travelers. They already know the future. So, it's at 4 right now. That's looking like a 3-point game. Which means, as of right now, the Bengals are either going to win money line or they're going to win by 3. Last second field goal to win the game. Possibly overtime. You never know. Well, no, I got that wrong. If it's 4 for the Bengals, that means the Rams will win by 3. Either the Rams are going to win by 3 or the Bengals win money line. So if the Rams do, it's only going to be 3. They're not going to cover the spread. It'll only be money line, which the odds on that are going to be terrible. You bet $100, you'll probably win at like $1.28 back or something stupid. So, we shall see. All right. Yeah, I just pontificated for an hour about 2 football games and Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL. What are you doing, Brian Flores? Welcome to the USFL, homie, because that's where you're headed. He'll probably end up coaching college somewhere, but even then, the AD is going to look at him and be like, you tried to sue the NFL. You want to try to sue this university? Like, I just don't know what the fuck he's doing. So, I imagine that the prop line bets are going to be Matt Stafford over 250 yards. That's probably a good one. Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown. And then probably it'll either be Mixon or Chase for an anytime touchdown. Parlay that together, it'd probably be a pretty good one. Pretty plausible. I imagine that the sports books will probably already put that one together so that they can set the odds on it and not lose too much on that. Now, me personally, what I like to bet on is people not achieving things. For instance, Jimmy G in Green Bay. I bet 40 for him to not go over 200 yards. It was snowing. It was 1 degree, and he's terrible. He had like 130 yards passing. That was an easy win. Things like that. Betting that people are going to do things, I tend to lose on. Because you just never know. But betting on people not to do things, that seems to have been better. Yeah, I wonder what the money line bet or what the bet one is if there's going to be a safety scored. The odds on that are probably well in the thousands because that's so unlikely. Shout out to New York for getting sports betting legal because now I'm in there. I'm in there, baby. Did well. Well, I didn't do well. I just, for the first occurrence of it, I did not finish in the red in either FanDuel or DraftKings. I am in the black on both of them. So we are now running 2 full football seasons that I've been running fantasy football leagues, paid fantasy football leagues, off of the free $100 that FanDuel gave me 2 years ago for signing up. So, hilarious. I've been playing with house money for 2 seasons. I almost ran out of it this year, though, but in the weeks 16, 17, 18, and then the first week of the playoffs, set myself up for next season. Already got the funds for next year. So, next Tuesday will be 1 week. We'll actually be in Super Bowl week. This will be a lot more interesting. We shall see what will happen in the coaching carousel, especially with Brian Flores' lawsuit against the NFL. I can guarantee you personally that we will not see Roger Harper next week because I believe that the flag football Super Bowl is happening and he is refereeing in it. So shout out to Roger Harper. That's fucking dope. Carrie, I don't know where you was at. I did not get a text from nobody telling me they wasn't going to be here tonight. Left me flying solo, man. I don't know, dude. We have to find me another co-host. Got to be committed to the cause because this show almost collapsed, and I like talking about football too much to allow that to happen. So we will figure it out. 333 TV is always evolving and always has. So, new hoodies in the shop. Clearly, I just haven't taken pictures and posted them yet. I'll see you guys next Tuesday for Super Bowl Gray Matter. And the next time I'll see you guys on 333 TV, Thursday, if I figure out what the hell it is I'm doing on Thursdays. I haven't figured it out yet. Exactly what it is I'm going to do to replace Beat Boutique. I don't fucking know. So, yeah. If I don't see you then, I will see you Saturday night for RIP TV. See, that's like, I'm so used to doing Tuesday. Not modern. See, I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I do want to do 333 University. I just haven't figured it out exactly how I'm going to do it and how long. So I should just force myself. So I guess I'll see you guys Thursday. That makes the most sense. We'll see the Dower Hour. That I did that to try to motivate somebody else to do their own version of the Dower Hour, and they still haven't. So the Dower Hour is dead on all fronts. We'll figure it out. I'll see you guys Thursday.